Hi, I'm Stephanie Barr, and I'm a postdoctoral fellow at Wilfrid Laurier University. Today, I'll be presenting one case study of a larger cross-Canada project looking at knowledge mobilization in protected areas. This case study was conducted in the Bruce Peninsula National Park region, and we examined knowledge mobilization in the context of natural hazard risk management. What I'm sharing today are preliminary results, so if you have any comments or suggestions about what I'm presenting, please feel free to get in touch with me to discuss further. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the Bruce Peninsula National Park, you can see the location of the park in the grey inlay at the bottom left of this figure. The park is located in southern Ontario at the tip of the Bruce Peninsula between Lake Huron and Georgian Bay. Our study included a range of organizations all along the Bruce Peninsula. At the outset of this project, park staff were consulted to determine natural hazard risks most prominent in the park region. For the Bruce Peninsula region, wildfire risk was identified as a natural hazard of concern. We conducted 17 in-depth interviews with practitioners from various organizations involved in natural hazard risk management on the peninsula. Interviews were 1 to 2 hours in length, and organizations included Parks Canada, local conservation authorities, the municipal government, the county, and local hospitals. Interviews were transcribed, coded, and emergent themes were identified. We found three main themes. The first theme is that knowledge mobilization is constrained by many factors. Second, natural science is used more frequently and valued more than other forms of knowledge. And third, that partnerships are recognized as important and are improving. So within each of the main themes are subthemes. So subthemes under the theme that knowledge mobilization is constrained by many factors include a lack of time, lack of money, a lack of human resources or expertise, a lack of a database or information management system that is accessible by all partners, and the fact that politics hinders knowledge mobilization. So I've included two illustrative quotes on this slide to give some context to the theme and subthemes. I don't have time to read them, but please feel free to pause the presentation to read them if you wish. The second main theme was that natural science is used more frequently and valued more than other forms of knowledge. Subthemes include easy access to natural science information, natural science is viewed as more credible and defendable than other forms of knowledge, the fact that conservation practitioners generally come from a natural sciences background and feel more comfortable using that type of information. We also found that Indigenous knowledge is beginning to be used more frequently, that the benefits of social science are acknowledged, but is not typically used in practice. And we also found a lack of understanding of what social science is. So when we asked participants for an example of how they use social science knowledge, the answers we received often were not related to the social sciences at all. The third theme, that partnerships are recognized as important and are improving, has four subthemes. Formal partnership structures are beginning to emerge. Partnerships are increasing, but there is still room for improvement. Knowledge sharing happens in formalized settings around specific topics. So for example, here, we found that partners would meet around very specific topics, such as wildfire and alvar ecosystems, but these partnerships do not extend beyond that specific topic. And we also found that relationships are critical to the formation and continuation of partnerships. So I want to conclude with a few recommendations for practitioners on how we can increase knowledge mobilization in protected areas. These suggestions were identified as needs by practitioners that we interviewed. First, there is a need to include more diverse knowledge sources in decision-making processes, such as Indigenous knowledge, local knowledge, and social sciences. Second, we need to create space for these different ways of knowing. Currently, natural science dominates, excluding other forms of knowledge. Third, better communication needs to be established between partners. This can be achieved through the creation of a central database for reports, maps, and other documents that is accessible by all partners in the region to increase sharing. There's a need to build trust between partners, local citizens, and Indigenous communities. A lack of trust was one of the more frequently cited barriers to knowledge sharing and collaboration. Next, a more formal approach to local knowledge acquisition is needed. Participants acknowledged that non-Indigenous local citizens that have lived in the region for generations have a vast wealth of untapped information that is not being used in planning processes. Finally, there's a need to work on the landscape scale rather than within park boundaries. Many issues affecting protected area organizations, including natural hazard risk and wildfire specifically, occur on the landscape scale, and therefore they need to be managed on that scale. So thanks for watching. As I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, what I've presented here are preliminary results. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to send me an email, and I'd be happy to further discuss this project.